Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a scrapbooking tutorial. I get so many questions on my Instagram and TikTok about how to scrapbook, so I thought I'd make a video showing you how I do it. Obviously you can scrapbook however you want, but this is just how I do it. If you want to learn to make scrapbook pages like this and this or this, then keep watching. So the first thing I like to do when it comes to scrapbooking is plan. I know a lot of people like to just go for it straight into the book, but I prefer to plan digitally first, so then I know what size I want to print everything out. So I recently went to Copenhagen and that's what I'm going to be scrapbooking today. Throughout my whole trip I was collecting all these like booklets, packages, leaflets, my boarding pass, receipts. I keep like food packaging if it's clean. If it's not clean, I take a picture of it so I can print it off and put it in the scrapbook. So because I like to plan digitally, the first thing I do is scan every item that I've collected. So I use this app called Genius Scan and it's a PDF scanner, so you can start a new folder and then when you hover your camera above an item it will automatically take a picture of it and crop it. You can go back in and edit the crops and the filters and stuff afterwards, so I'm just going to go through and scan through all my receipts to start with. So now that I've got them all scanned on my phone, you can just swipe through, crop them, and then I will put them on my laptop, which is where I like to plan my pages. So today I'm going to be scrapbooking in the large world travel journal. This book is 8.25 by 11 inches, so I'm going to create a file on Canva, which is 8.25 by 11 inches to plan out each page on. So here I've got the file, and then this is going to be my left page, so I've got Denmark in the top left corner, and this is going to be my right page. So I've put a little box in the bottom right corner because there's a drawing of the country. Now I've got the same file open up on my phone, so I'm just going to upload all those receipts, and as you can see they're coming up on the laptop as well. So now I kind of like to organise things into order, so because I went for 2 days, I'm just going to create two kind of piles where one is the first day and one is the second. So I've kept the map separate by itself because I think I want to put that across the 2 pages, but I'm going to move all this day 2 stuff onto this page. Then I think I will start arranging things. I like to work in layers, so this is going to be my first layer and it's kind of a background layer, so some things will get covered up, but I want things to also poke out. So now that this layer is completed, I'm going to go back in with my phone and pick the pictures that I want to put on the page. This is my second layer, and so I like to include pictures of myself and pictures of the things I went to see. And once again, I'm going to organise them into the 2 days. So now I'm going to start arranging everything how I want it. Once again, this is kind of just like trial and error. I like to just put things in places and see if I like it. I also like to create my own little icons that I can stick in. So for example, this crown that I saw, I'm gonna use the background remover tool and I should be left with just a crown. So now I can use that as a little way to decorate my page somewhere. I mostly do this with food items, flowers or statues or anything like small that doesn't need to be a whole picture but is a fun little accessory for your page. Now I've planned this out for both pages, I'm going to add some text in. So if you go into the Elements tab and type in lined paper, they will come up with all these different elements you can put in. So I'm going to do this slightly off coloured one. It doesn't really matter because it's just a placeholder. And then I'm going to take a text box on top of that just so I can roughly plan out what I'm going to write and how much space it's going to take up. And then basically I just do these in a few locations, planning out what I want to write in each one. For extra decoration, I do mostly just use my Scrapbook Icons book. It's always a good idea to look up the destination you visited in the Elements tab. So in this case I can search up Copenhagen and it comes up with lots of cute little elements. So if there's anything specific I want on here, I will add it in. But now that it's all planned out, I'm basically going to duplicate both of the pages, and then I'm going to delete anything that I do not need to reprint. So that will be all the text boxes. Obviously this Denmark thing up here because it will already be printed onto the page. I think that's it, apart from I'm going to delete this map because I don't think I need to reprint this because it's already a good size. Everything else I've resized compared to what it actually is in real life, so I'm going to want to reprint it. So now I know these are all the elements that I'm going to want to print. I'm going to take them and spread them out onto their own pages. I don't want anything overlapping because this is now going to be what I stick in my book. So now that I've got everything organised onto pages so nothing's overlapping, I'm going to go downstairs and print them. The printer I have is a HP Envy Photo 6230, which I would say is good for like everyday printing. If you want high quality images, then it's probably not the best printer, but it's just my family printer that I use for this and it's good enough. So I'm going to go down and print them and then I'll come back up here. Okay, so I've got everything printed out. For most of it I'm just going to use scissors, like these rectangular pieces it'll be fine just to use scissors with. But then for these more like tricky shapes, I have this Garo cut knife. Basically it's a rotating blade. You can literally just like draw with it like a pen around the shape and it will cut it out like that. So I find that much easier to use when I'm trying to do little weird shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them all out now. So for these like smaller pieces, I like to cut them out with a white outline because one, it makes them look a bit more like stickers. It makes them stand out a bit more when you layer them on top of other things. Even if you aren't planning out your pages digitally first, I would recommend still reprinting your receipts because I learnt the hard way that receipts do fade. So I did my first ever scrapbook pages a few years ago now, but when I went to check back on it, maybe like a year later, all the receipts were completely plain pieces of paper. So if you print them out, they look the same, but they're gonna last. So now I guess I'm gonna go through what I use for scrapbooking. So these are the things I pretty much always use every time I scrapbook. So to start with, obviously it is the scrapbook. For my own pages, I like to use the large one just because I collect a lot of things and I just love to spread it all out in a large scrapbook. Secondly is the Scrapbook Icons book. This book is just filled with a bunch of little pictures that I cut out and stick in. It's got like letters, little bows, butterflies, hearts, animals, flowers, and I just love using this to like decorate a page. It really finishes it off. Next I have this notebook. It's just from the range. Basically I just got it because it has this like off-white lined paper in it, so every time I want to write a bit of text in my scrapbook, I'll rip a bit of this out, stick it in, and then write on top of that. Because I do a lot of layering, it just makes it a bit clearer when it's on lined paper rather than just written on the book. Then for my glue, I use Pritt Stick. So one of my most asked questions is always like, how do you turn your pictures into stickers? Where do you get your stickers? And I never use stickers. I always just print out pictures and use Pritt Stick to glue it in. Everything in my journal is stuck in with a Pritt Stick. Then I like to have some sort of pen. Doesn't really matter what. I'm using this one at the moment. Just this little fine liner tip black pen. I switch it up. This is my favourite at the moment, but sometimes I use biros, sometimes I use fine liners, sometimes I use ink pens, but this is the one I've been using the most at the moment. And then I always have an assortment of coloured pencils. Mostly just use this to fill in the first pages of the book where you colour in the map and the checklist section, but sometimes I like to colour things in on the actual pages as well, and I use pencils for that. So now that we have everything prepared, we're going to actually start scrapbooking. I'm going to film this from above like how I do usually for my Instagram and TikTok, but I will still talk through what I'm doing. So first thing I always do when I am scrapbooking a new country is to tick it off on the checklist. So let's find Denmark, then we'll go to the map. So I have these little bulldog clips I've got also from the range, and I just use that to help flatten out the pages. So I work the same way that I planned, so I'm going to start with the receipts layout. So I recently got sent this Nimbot, which I'm going to try today. So you just connect it through the app and it just prints black and white images. So I picked a few that I'm going to print out. This is the stage where I add in the text, so I'm going to rip out a bit of line paper. I just kind of measure what I want and rip by eye as I go. So that's probably a bit too thick still. So those are all the pictures I had printed, and now I'm going to check the scrapbook icons book to see if there's anything I want to add in. I think bunting would be cute. I think a butterfly would work well because we went to see so many. I might just do a couple of red hearts just to dot around, but there's already quite a lot on this page, so I don't want to add too much. So there we go, that is how I created these scrapbook pages. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.